I stood still in the center of the banquet hall, wrapped in the hum of glass clinks and the vibrant chatter of Claire's relatives. The amount on the check I'd written to make this Thanksgiving unforgettable weighed on my thoughts like a stone. Waitstaff glided from table to table, gracefully delivering plates filled with roasted turkey and creamy mashed potatoes. The private chef I had hired barked commands from the kitchen, making sure not a single detail went awry. Even the personalized decorations were on my tab. Tiny pumpkins at each place setting, each one etched with a guest name. I thought they might appreciate the gesture. Seeing Claire smile was enough for me. That alone made it all feel worthwhile. Her family had a way of dominating any space they entered, their voices bold, their laughter booming. I'd learned over the years to blend into the background. That was just the dynamic. I never challenged it. I just nodded, wrote the checks, and stayed in step. Then Melinda, Claire's older sister, rose to her feet, a wide grin stretched across her face, and a stack of folded T-shirts in her arms. She announced she had a surprise plan to lighten the mood. The crowd clapped eagerly. One by one, she passed out the shirts. Her parents opened theirs first. Greatest cook for her mother, king of the grill for her father. Simple, funny titles that drew light-hearted laughter and approving nods. Claire received one that read, Family Glue, and she lit up with joy, giving Melinda a quick hug. I waited, expecting something neutral, maybe hard worker or reliable, something low-key that would let me blend in. But when Melinda handed me mine, there was a glint in her eye, a mischievous sparkle, like she was suppressing a private joke. I unfolded the shirt, and in thick black letters it read, Worst Disappointment. The room burst into laughter. It crashed over me like a wave, shaking the floor beneath my feet. Claire turned to me, her face red from laughing. It's just a joke, darling, she said, still chuckling. Don't take it to heart. I froze, gripping the shirt. The fabric was soft, but the message cut like a blade. I scanned the room. Melinda still had that smug look plastered on her face. Claire's father was wiping tears from his eyes, howling with laughter. Her mother tried to stifle a grin behind her wine glass. And Claire, my wife, the one person who should have stood beside me, was laughing too, as if it were all perfectly harmless. My chest tightened, but I didn't explode. I didn't yell or slam the shirt on the table. Instead, I forced a smile, the kind I perfected after years of swallowing insults and biting my tongue. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a set of documents I'd been carrying all evening. The laughter in the room continued as I held the papers up for all to see. Without saying a word, I slowly ripped them in two. The tearing sound sliced through the noise like a blade through fabric. A few people turned, startled. I let the shredded pieces fall onto the table, slipped on my coat, and walked out. The cold hit me immediately, sharp and bracing. My breath fogged the air as I stepped into the November night. Behind me, I could still hear their voices muffled by the walls. Probably confused, probably laughing still. I didn't care. My hand shook slightly as I opened the car door. But it wasn't from rage. It was from something deeper, finality, the kind of quiet, heavy realization you try to avoid for years. I had bent over backward to be accepted by Claire's family, to prove I was worthy. And all it ever got me was a punchline on a T-shirt. As I sank into the driver's seat, the image of those torn documents flickered in my mind. They weren't meaningless. They were blueprints, ideas I had worked tirelessly on, gifts I had planned to share with them. And I had destroyed them like they were scraps. Maybe that's what they were now. I started the engine. The warm, glowing lights of Banquet Hall grew smaller in my rearview mirror as I pulled away. I didn't know where I was headed, but I knew one thing with certainty. I wasn't going back in there. Not tonight. Not ever like that again. As I drove, the phrase on the shirt kept looping through my mind. Worst disappointment. It wasn't just the insult in the words themselves. It was the laughter that followed, loud and unfiltered, like everyone had always known it was true. I had paid for that night. The food, the venue, the elegant details that made it all sparkle. And yet I was the punchline. Claire's voice echoed sharp in my memory. It's just a joke, babe. Like I was the one missing the humor. My grip on the steering wheel tightened. I couldn't tell what hurt more, Melinda handing me that cruel little joke wrapped in cotton, or Claire laughing right along with them. For years, I convinced myself I could take their jabs, that I could endure it because I loved her. But holding that shirt had done something to me, shifted something deep inside. It wasn't about the cost of the evening or the party itself. It was about me, about how long I had allowed myself to be the one they mocked, the one they never truly welcomed. The road stretched out ahead, silent and unlit, and for once, I felt no need to defend or explain myself. I just kept going. I had always been a fixer in Claire's world, the one who patched her financial problems, smoothed over family drama, and showed up when no one else did. All that effort had bought me a front row seat to their cruelty. My phone buzzed again, another voicemail. I didn't even glance at it. I turned the device face down and merged back onto the highway. The night was wide and empty, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt a strange release. Not anger, not grief, just freedom. Yes, they'd seen the documents I tore, but none of them had ever really seen me. Maybe they never would, and that was fine now. I didn't need them to understand. The gas station coffee had gone cold long ago. The cup rattled around in its holder as the miles slipped away behind me. My phone buzzed now and then, but I didn't reach for it. I didn't want to hear Claire's voice or Melinda's apologies, or anyone trying to explain away what they'd done. Around midnight, I powered the phone off entirely. The screen went black, and for some reason, that act felt like slicing a rope I'd been tangled in far too long. I didn't know exactly where I was headed. I only knew I needed to get far from all of it. So I turned west and kept driving until the coastline opened up before me. The ocean stretched endlessly, dark and vast beneath the moonlight. I pulled into a small roadside motel with a flickering vacancy sign, paid in cash, grabbed my duffel from the trunk, locked the door behind me. The bed squeaked under me, but I didn't care. I sat in silence, staring at the faded wallpaper as the quiet settled over me like a blanket. When morning came, sunlight slipped through the worn-out blinds, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel obligated to be anywhere. No family gathering to host. No Claire urging me to fake another smile. I got up, showered, and picked up the motel phone. I called Tom, my attorney, someone I'd known since the early days of building my first company. He skipped the small talk, as always. I gave him a short version of the story. No mention of the T-shirt. Just that I'd walked out, torn up a few important documents, and I was done. I told him to freeze our joint accounts, the ones Claire had access to for her bills and shopping. I told him to remove her name from everything. Melinda's too. He didn't ask why. He just said, "Give me 2 days," and hung up. I trusted him. Tom had watched me build everything from nothing. He knew that when I made a move, it was final. That same day, I changed my phone number. I didn't give the new one to Claire. Or anyone. I bought a basic phone at a small electronics shop down the street. No contacts, no apps, no past. Just a clean slate. I didn't want anyone reaching me. Then I packed up and moved further north along the coast. I found a small rental cottage overlooking the ocean. Just 1 bedroom, a tiny kitchen, and a porch where the waves could keep me company. I stayed for a week. Maybe 2. I lost track of the days. No calls. No emails. No news. Just me, and the quiet I hadn't realized I was starving for. One evening, I dug through my bag and pulled out an old journal, the same one I had stopped using after my father passed, and I started writing. Not a rant, not a list of grievances, just writing.